The heart of optimism. It's within all of us. It's just sometimes dormant, but how do we live a more optimistic, grateful life? When I applied to college, which was just a few years ago, I was asked in my college application for 2 words that would describe me. And I chose pragmatic optimist. After that, it was write an essay for 1,000 words telling us why those 2 words matter, which I felt like kind of defeated the purpose of 2 words and then saying, give us 1,000. Kind of got lost in translation. Attitude. All of us came in here today with an attitude. Unfortunately, 82% of our thoughts every day are negative. So Kathy, I'm happy to report you have 60,000 thoughts a day. This is all scientifically based. Women, if you're a woman in the room, you have close to 60,000 thoughts a day. Thomas, we're on the low end. We have about 6,000 thoughts a day. But unfortunately, 82% of that is negative for all of us. 82%. And 95% of it is repetitive. And these are all the things, right? I can't, it's your fault, I'm tired, I'll do it tomorrow. What was the attitude you showed up with here today? I don't have time. This is one of my least favorite. We all have time, and I'm going to talk more about that later. 5% of your day is 72 minutes if you don't sleep. If you sleep for 10 hours, you have 14 hours. 5% of your day is 42 minutes. 42 minutes. We have the time. It's just a question of what do we spend it on? What do we spend it on? August 23rd, 2024. The day I will always remember. I sometimes ask people, say, what were you doing on August 23rd, 2024? But I occasionally had people pull out their phones and look at their calendar and say, figuring out what they were doing. For me, I always remembered it was 63 weeks ago and 3 days. I had a sudden cardiac arrest and died. Over 8 minutes, my heart was stopped. I'm blessed the paramedics came with a defibrillator and that my friends gave me CPR. I'm here today because of that. There is less than a 1% chance that I'm physically and mentally okay. Some people that are my good friends still question whether I'm mentally okay or not, but I assure you I am. So, I'm here not just because of that, but a series of what I call God incidences, things that occurred in my life that brought me here today and helped me find my new mission. In the late 90s, I worked for a company called Survival Inc. Survival Inc. was one of the companies that pioneered automated external defibrillators. There's likely one in this building. I led marketing and business development for them, and we were the pioneers of putting them on the first airline, the first golf course, right? The first company that carried it. Before that, they really were just in hospitals and advanced ambulances. So my boss, with the big smile and teeth, we had a reunion 2 weeks before my cardiac arrest. 2 weeks before, we all got together and celebrated our company, which started about 30 years before. And we're high-fiving and chest bumping and celebrating the tens of thousands of lives we've helped save. He would later say, Sig, when we got together after my cardiac arrest, he'd say, Sig, you didn't realize you were writing a prescription for something you were going to need later in life. Blessed. I don't think those things are accidents. This was the first generation defibrillator, AED, back in mid-90s. The day of my cardiac arrest, I golfed. These are the guys I golfed with. I call them the Baker Boys. I worked at General Mills in the 90s. I actually left General Mills to go to work for the AED company. We had half-day Fridays in the 90s, and we'd go golf Friday afternoons, every Friday afternoon. These are some of the guys I've been golfing with and are my best friends for 30-plus years. 30-plus years. We had a golf tournament the weekend of my cardiac arrest, and these were the people I was with. We're catching up. Most of them are retired. Half of them live out of town. And like guys, what's your life like? What have you been up to lately? And they're saying, well, I'm retired now. My kids are out of college. My wife and I are empty nesters. Sig, what are you up to? I shared, well, you guys remember when I left General Mills? I went to that defibrillator company, Survival Link. We just had a reunion. And it just reminded me that if your heart stops, the only thing that'll restart it is an automated external defibrillator. But you all should know CPR. I said that to the people that later that day would give me CPR. Yeah, got incidents. I decided golf course, bad place to have a cardiac arrest. Right? As though I had a choice. I waited till later that evening. We were in South St. Paul at a barbecue. The gentleman in the white hat, Paul, he's a Red Sox fan. Don't hold that against him. This picture was taken about a minute before my cardiac arrest. So cardiac arrest is an electrical problem, or a heart attack is a plumbing problem. I had an electrical problem. My plumbing is A+, but I had an electrical problem. Paul sensed maybe something was wrong, and immediately after this picture, walked around, caught me when my heart stopped, set me on the ground, and he and his wife gave me CPR. Two weeks after my cardiac arrest, I spent 7 days in the ICU. This is me celebrating 2 weeks after with Paul and Kim at their house. Paul, he gave me the mouth-to-mouth. Kim, she's about 105 pounds. She gave me the CPR, the chest compressions. Is anyone here CPR trained? Yeah. What, did they teach you a song to sing? Staying Alive. Any other songs? These days they have you sing songs like Baby Shark and some other more current songs. But do you know some other songs?
Baby Shark.
Baby Shark, yeah. I hate that song. Although I would have been happy had she been singing it when I had CPR from her. So in what's a horrible situation, she's pounding my chest out loud, singing. This will always be one of my favorite songs, and I love the words. We'll just listen to it for a minute as it gets into it. This is the part right here. Staying alive, staying alive. She sang that out loud. Will give me the chest compressions. There are about 20 of the Baker boys there with their spouses, all watching in what is a horrible, horrible situation. I'm dead, laying in front of them. And that optimism of that song and how that carried through, it's amazing, amazing.
Were you conscious?
No, flat. Over 8 minutes, heart full stop. I had been, the rhythm I had was ventricular tachycardia. So my blood is not circulating at all. And what's interesting about that, this little aside, there's a thing called agonal breathing. So when someone has a cardiac arrest, it might look like they're struggling to breathe. So my friends that are trying to decide, should I give CPR or not, are watching me gasp. And they're saying, that's it, he's a fighter. He's a fighter, look at him, he's trying to breathe. No, that's a reflex of your brain trying to stay alive by doing that. So I was blessed that they got past that and said, we need to give him CPR, and they did. My third day in the ICU, I got what I now call my wave maker. I have an implantable cardio defibrillator right here. And the Medtronic rep came into the room. This was my moment of optimism, and said, we're going to put this thing in you. And I asked him all kinds of technical questions because I'd worked at that defibrillator company. What's the waveform? How many delivered joules energy? And he answered them all. He was great. Then I said, I only have one really important question. Can I scuba dive again if you put this in me? This was day 3. He said, I'm not sure, I'm going to check. So he went and talked to all the Medtronic people, came back and said the word contraindicated I think hundreds of times. The lawyers got to him, because if it goes off underwater, that's a problem. I said, but can I dive? He said, yes, you can scuba dive. Hooray. I haven't gone yet, but I look forward to going. Up to 100 feet. So that was pretty cool. I don't know if people have, sometimes people name things they get implanted. I don't know if you see that in your chiropractic practice. You know, people name their knee or name their... I named my ICD. I call it Wave Maker. I call it Wave Maker. We all have a wave maker in us. Mine just has electricity in it. But that's our heart. That's how we treat people. We are all wave makers in our lives. We impact others, and we want that to be in a positive fashion. So, this is from my book. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the stories in there that I think you'll enjoy. And in every chapter of the book, I talk about a song from the Talking Heads, if people musically know Talking Heads. So this is a quote up top from the Talking Heads in the musical notes. It really meant a lot to me in my recovery, right? Music matters. Music matters. What's your walk-up music? What's your music that pumps you up? My first 2 days in the hospital, I had anterograde amnesia. That meant I could not form new memories at all. But I was talking to people much like we're talking now, having conversations. The doctor would come in and say, Sig, you had a cardiac arrest. 5 seconds later, I'd say to the doctor, I feel great. I want to go home. What's wrong with me? I didn't remember. So Thomas, if he was my phlebotomist, he'd come into my room. That first day, I think he's drawing blood every hour. He'd come into the room, and I said 2 things repeatedly, thousands of times to every single person who came in that room. I didn't know I was saying it. I learned later that I'd said this phrase, and I'm just going to share one of them today. Thomas would come in the room, and I'd say, you're the world's best. I'd say, what's your name? Thomas. I'd say 20 more times, you're the world's best. He would draw my blood, and apparently he was very, very good at it, because I had to tell him another 20 times before he left the room, you are the world's best. I said that to the doctors, the nurses, the janitor, my friends, anyone who came in the room heard that. I didn't know I was saying it. I learned about this in the weeks and months later, that I had said this crazy phrase, you are the world's best. And I asked myself, why? You know, the weeks and months after, I'm questioning, is it going to happen again? Am I going to live another week? Is it going to go off tomorrow? My dad's 95, maybe I'll live to be 95. But why did I say this phrase? And I came to the conclusion, I said it for 2 reasons. Number one, it was my fancy way of saying thank you. You're great, you're fantastic, I appreciate you. You're the best. I just chose the fancy words, you are the world's best. You are the world's best. Gratitude. Gratitude. We can all practice gratitude more, and not just in our heads, but actually saying those words every day. Thanking people for the little things they do in our life. Appreciating people for the little things they do in our life. The second reason I think I said it was I knew I was really messed up. They'd tell me, you had a cardiac arrest, but I didn't remember that. But I knew something really bad had happened somewhere in my brain. And I became my own hype man. I became my own motivational consultant on the spot. Because I knew I needed that doctor that was going to put in my implantable cardio defibrillator, that nurse. I needed everyone to be the world's best version of themselves if I was going to be okay. And if you think about when you receive a compliment, when someone tells you that's great, you're good, that's fantastic, you're the world's best, it elevates your mood, right? Makes you feel good. Kevin, you're the world's best. You smiled. I didn't even tell you why you're the world's best. Sometimes. We all, that's a great point, sometimes. Because every one of us has the power, talent, and capacity to be the world's best version of ourselves every day. I believe that. I believe that. We just fail. We just fail. And why do we fail? And how can we be the world's best version of ourselves more often? So I became my own hype man, because not only did I need the doctors and nurses and janitor and friends to be the world's best version of themselves, I needed me to be the world's best version of myself if I was going to be okay and live, even if I couldn't tell you what was wrong with me in the moment. Gratitude. Gratitude. I call it vitamin G. We all need more vitamin G. I believe resilience is gratitude in motion. Resilience is gratitude in motion. We all have heart-stopping moments, things that give us pause, make us think. For me, my heart stopped. CPR, ride in the ambulance, 7 days in the ICU, but for others, it could be the death of a child. It could be getting your first mortgage on your house. It could be losing your job. It could be watching your daughter get married. They're all heart-stopping moments. But what we do about them is resilience. Get back up. How do we take that forward in a positive way and not quit? Vitamin G. It's free. Doesn't cost us anything. It doesn't run out. Refills as much as you'd like. So, one of my challenges to all of you, and we're going to pause just for 1 minute. I have notepads on the table that say, "You are the world's best," and pencils. And if we're short, I have extra. I will pass them out. I'd like everyone to grab a piece of paper and a pencil. And I want you to write a personal note to someone in your life. That's a compliment that tells them they're good, that tells them you appreciate something they did. Here, thank you. Yeah.
Thanks.
You know, and it's simple. It can be 5 words, it can be 3 sentences, whatever works for you. And then I want you to commit today to walk out of here, and maybe you'll hand it to the person, maybe you'll mail it to the person. I got a wonderful note written from Don after speaking to the optimists on this exact pad of paper. It's pretty cool. So I want us to go out of here today consciously saying, I'm going to incorporate gratitude into my life more, and have a specific thought about who we're going to do that with. Maybe you're mailing it, maybe you're handing it to them later today. All right, well, feel free to keep writing or finish up later, and if you do have a second person or a third person, I've got extra up here for later that you can grab. But practice gratitude. 1,000 weeks to live. What in the world does that mean? So, I know we have some military people in the room here. Thank you for your service. I now know firsthand PTSD is a real thing. And clinically, to be diagnosed with PTSD, you have to have a near-death experience. Personally, or been around people that were killed near death in combat, that level of trauma. So in the weeks and months after, I'm like, why am I here? Why am I alive? What is my mission in life? And I'm trying to piece that together and figure it out. And I reflected back to a trip with my son in Montana that I had taken 1 month before my cardiac arrest. 1 month. So we're out fly fishing. I don't know, is anyone a fly fisherman or woman here? A few people? Yeah. I'm a total rookie. You can see by how I'm dressed in the blue shirt with no equipment. My son is an expert. He was my Sherpa for the day. So he's got all the right equipment and ready to go. I caught what's called the Montana trifecta. I don't know if that's a real thing or not. I think my son just wanted me to feel good. So the Montana trifecta is a brown trout, a rainbow trout, and a cutthroat trout. That's the rainbow trout I'm holding. It's like, way to go, Dad. Even though, he didn't say it, even though you're really a rookie, and I've had to cut your line out of trees about 100 times today. He's like, way to go, you caught the Montana trifecta. Cool. I asked him, what fly was I using to catch that? They have all these crazy names. There's one called a Chernobyl ant. I don't know if I'd want to eat something that swallowed a Chernobyl ant. But I said, what was I fishing with? And he looks at me and he says, Dad, you were fishing with the Ray Charles fly. The Ray Charles fly said, yeah, Dad, because even a blind man could catch a fish with that. Oh, from high to low. So he brought his pastor fly fishing with us. The pastor's out on the water. And the pastor says to the Sigs, we were talking about generational, going back to 18-something, 5th generation. I'm a grandfather now. There are 4 Sigs walking around this planet. My father is 95, me, my son, and now I'm my grandfather. I'm going to visit him in Montana tomorrow. So the pastor says to the Sigs, have you all read the book or heard of the podcast 4,000 Weeks? I'm like, nope, never heard of it. In the back of my mind, and I didn't say this part out loud, I'm thinking, hey man, I'm fly fishing with my son in a beautiful spot here in Montana. I don't need a sermon. It's a Monday. Didn't say that out loud. But I asked him, I said, what's 4,000 weeks? Tell me a little bit about it. This is a month before my cardiac arrest. He said, well, 4,000 weeks is how long you have to live when you're born. It's about 80 years. 80 years. And the book is, live with purpose, be a good person, kind of apple pie kind of stuff. In one ear, out the other ear, I'm fly fishing, move on. As I'm reflecting in my recovery, not knowing, do I have an hour a day, 95 like my father? I reflected on that moment. It happened for a reason. I looked back and I said, you know what? I'm 59 now. I'm going to live and act with purpose as though I'm going to live 1,000 weeks. And stop living in fear. Stop worrying that it's going to happen again. And make a difference in the world. I'm going to do it for 1,000 weeks. 1,000 weeks is 20 years. I said, I'll be 79. I can do a lot of good in 20 years. So that was an anchoring point for me that I look back to as another God incident. I don't think I have the same recovery. I don't think I have the same mission without that pastor fly fishing with us that day. So, this picture from the Basilica in St. Paul, there's 20 stars around it, representing the 20 years to me. Every year of those 20 years that I have left is 5%. Right? 1/20th, 5%. Every Christmas, every Easter, every summer is 5%. Whatever your jam is. If it's 20 years, everyone is consumable and it's 5%. And before you know it, 5%, 5%, 5%, 5 more years, and that's 20 years. And what have you done in those 20 years? What have you done last week? I started at the beginning saying I've been alive since my cardiac arrest for 63 weeks. I will forever be able to tell people how many weeks. In a positive fashion. I have another 937 left to make a real difference in this world. Maybe I'll be 95. I hope so. So, remember attitude and excuses? We talked about them, and my least favorite was, I don't have time. Well, hang on, excuse me. My phone was buzzing. Yeah, I just had to check my email for a second. I also had a like on my LinkedIn post from this morning. I'm kind of addicted to it. I don't have time. How do we spend our time? This is an average person every day. Check your phone 205 times a day. I had to do that to help my quota for the day, or I wasn't going to hit 205 times. Oh, but who's guilty of this? What are you convicted of? Wasting time. It can be on a lot of things, right? It can be on a lot of different things. When I spoke at the Wayzata Rotary, essentially a woman came up to me afterwards and said, I watch TV for 3 hours a day. I'm like, well, that makes you about average. And she said, I'm going to reduce that to 2.5 hours. And during those 30 minutes, I'm going to call a friend every day. I'm like, way to go. That will make a difference for you and for the friend that you call. So which of these are you convicted of? What do you not follow through on? New Year's resolution, gym membership, losing weight. How do we change that? How do we change that? So I joke, Don over here, which everyone knows, Don has a superpower. And I think it's shared by some people at the table. No cell phone, no email. I don't know how much TV you watch. I meant to ask you. A lot of reading. Good. But Don's superpower, he's not spending that time on email, checking his phone, watching TV. He's making a difference in the world for 92 years now? Is that right?
For me, not quite. 89.
89, okay, sorry. I gave you more credit. But that's a superpower if you can reallocate that time, right? So I talked at the beginning, 5%. 5% of 24 hours is 72 minutes. You all have made a choice today to be here longer, that the Rotary is an important enough group for you to spend more than 5% of your day on. I don't sleep that much, but if you sleep 10 hours a day, you still have 14 hours in the day, 5% of that's 42 minutes. Are you spending it on the things that matter to you personally in your life? The things that should be part of your mission, right? It could be a work activity, it could be family, it could be friends, it could be pickleball, right? But spend the time on the things that are important to you and the things that matter. Spend that 5% on your mission. So, Olympic aspiration, chasing big dreams. We all have them. We all have them. What gets in the way oftentimes is we like our comfort zone, right? It's safe, it's warm, it feels good, it's repeatable, it's what we do every single day, our comfort zone. It's uncomfortable to get out of it. But I think real change and innovation happens when we're able to get out of our comfort zone. Out of our comfort zone. The deep end. I teach swimming at Foss. I teach every Sunday morning, Monday night. I teach about 80 to 100 kids every week. I was a Division I All-American swimmer. It's part of my giving back, and I just love the ability to impact children that way. Occasionally, I'll teach adults. So I had a 72-year-old man show up in my class about a year ago. No, longer than that, because a year ago, I wasn't doing so well. A year and a half ago. And 72 years old, didn't know how to swim. Kids, we have our curriculum. You're 5, this is what you can do, this is what you're going to learn. An adult, it's, well, what's important to you? What do you want to learn? Why are you here? And then you adapt the curriculum to the adult. He said, I'm here for 2 reasons. My dentist told me I needed to learn how to swim. Your dentist, what's up with that? Learning new skills at any age keeps the mind fresh and growing and maybe even delays Alzheimer's and some other bad things. So his dentist told him to learn a new skill and suggested swimming. The second reason he said was, look up there, Sig, and the benches at Foss are like 5 feet away from where I am in the water. He says, look up there, and he's 72. He said, you see that hottie sitting on the bench there? That's my 60-year-old girlfriend. And she told me I had to learn how to swim, or we couldn't keep going because I couldn't go to the lake with her in Minnesota in the summer. That was his motivation. Dentist and girlfriend. So I said, what do you want to learn? He said, I want to learn how to do the breaststroke. And this was great. He had no fear of the water at all, so that was a good starting point. And the breaststroke, right, the whip kick, frog kick, everyone has seen that probably. It's a hard thing to do. I think only 5 to 10% of the planet, it's natural. Everyone else, it's really, really hard. You get your muscles to move a different way. He was a natural. So we dove in, we're learning the breaststroke kick, first week, second week, third week. I'm the best teacher in the world. No, he was very natural and gifted. It was fun to see him do it. He came back the 4th week and said, Sig, I have a problem. I said, oh no, what's your problem? He said, I didn't share with you, I have had both my hips replaced, and I could hardly walk because my hip was hurting so much. So I had to go to the doctor. And the bad news, Sig, the doctor told me I had to shut down the breaststroke. I said, all right, we have plenty of other things we can learn. So we learned the front crawl and side breath and swimming on our back. He came back every week to do that, and about 2 or 3 weeks later, said, Sig, I'm 72. I'm going to learn the breaststroke. He said, I don't care if my hip hurts. That's what I want to do. I said, all right, you tell me when the pain's too bad. But he got way out of his comfort zone with not knowing how to swim, 2 hip replacements, and pain because of what we were trying to learn. And it was so important to him to stay mentally alert, keep his mind sharp, and to be able to go to the lake with his girlfriend. That he showed up. His reward, this is the next summer, him at the lake with his girlfriend. So if we're willing to get out of our comfort zone, unexpected great things await us. We just have to be willing to do it. Anyone here ever swim with the dolphin? A couple of people. So a dolphin can be about twice my size. They can be pretty big and intimidating. Lots of teeth, up to 200 teeth. I've swum with dolphins my whole life. I'm super comfortable with it. I have a son who's now 21, and he was 3, and we went to a little dolphin place in Florida. And my son at 3 was afraid of everything. Wouldn't try new food. He would eat carbs and meat. That was it. Any suggestion you made to get out of your comfort zone was lost. He wouldn't do it, he wouldn't try it, there was no 2 ways about it. So we're in the top row of about 20 rows in this little dolphinarium place. The trainer's down with the dolphin doing the tricks, and she says, does anyone want to come down and pet the dolphin? My son was sitting between my wife and I. Next thing I know, I look, and he's at the bottom of the bleachers, running towards open water, and my wife gets this horrified look on her face, like he might drown if he jumps in the water, or the dolphin might eat him, I don't know. And I said, just wait, let's see what he does. He walked up to the trainer, his big baby blue eyes, and just stood there at 3. And she looked at him and said, I'm sorry, we already have 3 people. You can't pet the dolphin. I don't think at 3 he knew what determination was, but he just stood there, kept looking at her, his big blue eyes, didn't leave. And after the first person and second person had gone, he was still standing there. And she said, I think we have time for one more. So for him, his wave maker was the dolphin. Was the dolphin in that experience. Transformed his life. Here was his reward. We never imagined he would do that. But his willingness to set aside things and get out of his comfort zone, that was his reward. That dolphin was his wave maker. This is 1 year later, and he said, I want to go back, and I'm not just kissing that dolphin, I'm swimming with that dolphin. I think it changed his life. We all have wave-making moments, and we all inside us have the ability to make waves for others. Get out of your comfort zone and make it happen. So my final message to all of you is this. We all have the power, talent, and capacity within us to be the world's best version of ourselves every day. It's our attitude and choice that can make a difference for how we show up for ourselves and those in our lives. So find your vitamin G. Find that gratitude. Share it with others. It's easy to be grateful in our brains, but how often do we extend that to others? Last February, I was at a coffee shop in Lake Minnetonka area, and there were 2 police officers in line, and I'm just getting coffee. It's 20 below zero, and I started a brief conversation with them. Hey, I really appreciate what you do in our community. Must be much, much harder when it's 20 below outside. They proceeded to tell a couple stories while we're in the coffee line about life as a police officer and challenges when it was 20 below. We finished, got our coffees, and I just turned to them and said, thank you for what you do in our community. You are the world's best. The smile I got from them was fantastic. I think if they ever pull me over for a speeding ticket, hopefully they remember. But you can tell they're going to have a better day just because of that simple encounter, right? We all have that opportunity every day. 5% more. What is your mission? What's most important to you personally? And how are you going to spend your time? Start with 5%. I wrote a book, never written a book before. My goal was to finish it before my 1-year anniversary of my cardiac arrest. That doesn't happen on a long-term basis if I don't spend 5% every single day to get to my long-term goal. Spend that 5% on the things that matter to you and your loved ones. And get out of your comfort zone. Challenge yourself. What have I not done that I really want to do? And what's it going to take to get out of your comfort zone and give it a shot? You are all the world's best. Thomas said it at the beginning. He didn't use the words I use, but he said, this is the world's best Rotary. Right? Yeah, you did. Makes us feel good, elevate our performance. So you all are the world's best version of yourselves. Go out, you all have your own wave makers inside you, and decide, how are you going to be a wave maker? The sheets of paper I gave you, if you'll notice, it's a wave. It's a wave. Sometimes we make small waves, sometimes we make big waves. But let's make them impactful in a powerful way. Whether it's a pebble in a pond or a tsunami, let's make them positive waves and make a difference in people's lives. This is my contact info. Love to connect with you. That's a picture of my book. I'm going to tell one final comfort zone story. So my father, I alluded to, is 95. My mother died 3 years ago. And my father wrote a book 15 plus years ago. He was a physician at the Mayo Clinic, long since retired because he's 95. And he'd written this book 15 years ago, but never finished it. And my mom would tell him every day, finish your book, get it published. He didn't. He didn't. I told him, Dad, I'm writing a book, my first one ever. We got to finish your book. So at 95, I helped him finish his book, which was getting out of his comfort zone. Getting out of his comfort zone. This is it. I know you are all about Ugandan gorillas. I saw that up here. He wrote about a lemur. Madagascar, it's the one place in the world lemurs live. It's a children's book. So if you have a grandchild or child that you think would enjoy a fun children's book, I have that up here as well. So thank you very much. You are all the world's best.